Welcome back to Building Your Comments in Minecraft. The first suggestion that I did was in downtown Naperville, Illinois. I worked on 2 builds with King Chicken as he had also received a comment to build something there, and it was actually more difficult than I expected. Yes, I did have 3D and Street View, but there was a lot of detailing involved, which made the building process take nearly 3 hours. Unfortunately, I was also having internet problems, so I kept disconnecting, but luckily, King Chicken was able to give me some of his footage to use for this video. We struggled most with the last section that we did of the build, as there was just a lot of detail packed into a small area, and it took us some time to figure that out and tackle it. And we also had some issues with using the //fast command to place things like half beds next to each other. But now it is a start for any future builders from there who would want to expand. The second build was due to a rather persistent follower who wanted me to do the town of Post, Texas. Quite the interesting name, I must say. I decided upon Holly's Drive-In, a restaurant in the south part of town, but it proved ultimately more difficult than I would have first expected. Yes, there was Street View, but there was no 3D, and unfortunately they had recently built an extension to the building, though luckily it's just an overhang. I ended up using Bing Maps to make this, and simply figured out that what the offset was on that satellite image compared to Google Maps. Ultimately it was not too bad. It was definitely a little bit more detailed than I expected it to be, but not terrible. Unfortunately I could not see a decent chunk of the back, so some of it was inferred, but it wasn't a very important section of the building. The details were also a bit weird because I used slabs for the overhang, but I think it worked well overall. This took me about 2 hours. The next build was the easiest to do out of everything. It was in downtown Cleveland, Ohio, and I had looked through the area for something I could do that wouldn't take too long. BTE Opanki, the team which covers this area, had done a lot around downtown, though admittedly a lot of it should absolutely be rebuilt, as a lot of cities in Build the Earth had the same situation where a good chunk was done in 2020 or early 2021 before build standards improved. Obviously there was Street View and 3D for this, and there just weren't many details either. It only took me an hour to get done. After this, I decided to use a randomizer to select one of my many suggestions, and it landed on one of my earlier ones, specifically Maggie McFly's in Middlebury, Connecticut. This appears to be a local restaurant chain with only a few locations around New England, but unfortunately, it was much more complex than I had expected. I did have the help from another builder on BTE Northeast, however, Meep12345. He's actually from a different Middlebury in Vermont, so I misinterpreted that and asked him for help, but he was still good with assisting me. It definitely made it easier, but even with that, 3D and Street View for the most part, it took us 4 hours to get done. I think this was mainly due to the details surrounding the building, as it encompasses a decent property and parking lot. Admittedly, it kind of sucked, but we pushed through and got it done. I really hope the commenter is grateful for this one. The final build was the longest and honestly the most excruciating. I built it with Jurhane in his hometown of Miami, Florida, and we did a cheesecake factory on Miracle Mile in the southwest part of the city. Of course, this had 3D and street view. Miami is a big city. Unfortunately, it took just over 4 hours to do this build. It was honestly very painful. As you can see by the title, Jurhane is a very good detailer, but this did make the building process a lot longer, and I was very tired by the end of it. I'm not complaining about him at all, it was just not something I expected to take so long, and it overall drained me. So I must say, the end product is pretty dang good, so check it out now. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and check out the previous comment suggestions video right here.